Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Hearthstone Wild Open. I'm TJ, joined by Frodan, rocking his Fro Jam. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'll just do it again.
Gets me every time.
My finger got caught in your pocket.
What
for
a guy!
I thought I was worried I'd sprain my index finger. I need that for Hearthstone, man.
This is where I keep my notes.
Dangerous.
We
play a dangerous game.
Yeah. Well, we have one more match left, Dan. One more spot left at the live finals. Look at that. Look at that stacked lineup of 7 players. I've actually been really impressed by it. You know, we had our one token wild expert, or guy who makes a living off of playing wild, essentially in control, make it through. But the rest of these guys have just been showing solid play, and that's what I like to see.
Yeah, and we don't know too much about the Chinese players. For example, they could have been focusing on Wild for a while, and so can be some of these guys. We have 2 Koreans going head-to-head, Noriggoon versus Projeulgamrer. And the big thing about it is we had a Japanese player qualify, and they really picked it up. We'll see if one of the Koreans go through, and that's a pretty good representation of APAC. I feel like those are the top 2 countries right now. Yeah,
well, those are some of the there's not many countries representing APAC, considering Southeast Asia was part of the America. So it's just Korea.
I see.
Korea, Japan,
Taiwan,
and Hong Kong. Yeah, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, I think, were the countries representing APAC.
Cool.
But that does represent, the majority of the player base for the Asia-Pacific region in general.
Yes.
Even if you include Australia and Southeast Asia. So definitely a good representation. And, Projeulgamrer coming off of his win against 3,104. Not to be confused with 3,103. It's his teammate.
Is it?
I
don't know, man. Sometimes TJ does a lot of research behind players, and I don't want to just seem ignorant and be like, you're just joking. Maybe it's an entire 3,000 clan. He's like the 104th member.
Yeah, that'd actually be really sweet.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the case.
Okay. Well, what is the case is we're going to have a matchup between these 2 guys. And remember, one thing that I was really excited for Noriggoon going to the first series was that he was the only player out of our 12 players today to bring Rogue. And I want to see some Rogue action in Wild, whether it's Quest Rogue or Miracle Rogue or maybe something else that we're not prepared for because he just hasn't been given a chance to play it yet.
He's probably going to get to play it this series considering Projeulgamrer's lineup, call him Pro, as Admiral did, because he's rocking that more aggressive lineup. I'd imagine he would like to prey on the Rogue and leave it up.
Yeah, that's right. I think the only deck that's kind of weak to it is the Paladin.
Yeah.
That definitely will be a vulnerable spot indeed. And it'd be cool to see if that Rogue is even outfitted for the aggressive matchups. A lot of people look at Wild and they look at, man, I wish Rogue had access to healing. Well, guess what? You can put Healbot in your deck or Sludge Belcher. These are things that, Rogue used to use in some tight situations back in the day. In fact, Rogue went through a period where they had too many 5-mana cards they had to play when they had Belcher, Azure Drake. Some played like a Dark Iron Skulker and a few other cards there.
Yeah, and we're going to take a look at Quest Rogue. We don't know what Rogue deck this actually is, but we're going to give you guys a highlight of not only Quest Rogue, but a few Rogues. We'll get to that in a little bit. But Quest Rogue is nearly identical to its standard counterpart. There's a couple key differences. Gang Up can be used, even though sometimes it's not. Captain's Parrot is a weird tech inclusion. I don't even know. This just looks like a tech version of a standard deck. But, just to say it, it's very similar to what we usually see in standard. Target Tummy is also a little bit of an option that you have, and in place of that Wisp, it's got a little bit more value at that 0-mana slot.
Captain's Parrot is really interesting because there's only one pirate in the deck, and it's Patches.
You gang up the Patches, and then you pull the Patches with Captain's Parrot, and then you play Patches, which pulls the other Patches from your deck. Oh man, that's insane.
That's interesting. I've heard about that version, but I've never seen it actually put together with Captain's Parrot. I've seen the Patches Gang Up version.
It's OTK Quest Rogue. You didn't know?
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, not in Wild. When I run into Wild, it's just pretty much the same thing as standard, except they had the target dummy in for, I don't know, like the South Sea deckhand or something.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Miracle Rogue now and some of the key differences with that deck. Miracle Rogue's actually built a ton of different ways in Wild. In standard, you see it almost built the same way all the time. You can sub out Arcane Giants if you want to play more against aggro. You put in like South Sea deckhands, a little bit more early game, another questing adventure. But some of the powerful cards that Miracle Rogue has access to in Wild include Azure Drakes, Conceals, Tomb Pillager. Tomb Pillager, Dan, it's so good.
Pillager is extremely powerful. And, you know, just out of fun, I was just making an old Miracle oil rogue. I just put Violent Teachers in Tinker Sharpsword oil, and I was just doming people for like 7 damage with my dagger. And I was like, I prepped oil, and I was like, well, I actually just kill you.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome. Me and Admirable were playing a lot of games, and we climbed really fast, just pretty much dunking every deck that was slow. Like any kind of Reno deck was like, well, okay, maybe it's like a standard Miracle Rogue, and we just like burst them for like 21 damage. I didn't even need Blade Flurry at that point.
Yeah, one of my favorite decks to play of all time was the Miracle Rogue in the days of Tinker Sharp's Oil and Blade Flurry, back when Blade Flurry was much better than it is now.
That's right.
Much better than it is now. But alas, those days are long gone. And even in Wilds, Blade Flurry is still a shadow of its former self. But let's go ahead and get ready for the first matchup. You can see that Druid is banned away from Pro, and Noriggoon has Mage banned away from him. So we will get to see the Rogue, probably, unless he queues up other decks and doesn't want to, and Pro just beats him. But we will. It is available.
Yeah, and of course we have Warlock, Paladin available for Nori, and then Pro has Warrior, Shaman, and Paladin. Now we'll see if that Paladin deck ends up being a vulnerable spot, because we've seen the Rogue, of course, be good against Paladins historically, and then Warlock, just the previous series, was able to beat the Paladin. It was able to withstand that pressure, and then going to Paladin mirrors. So that could be the point where Nori is going to look and think if he can get a good opportunity to take advantage of Projeul.
All right, we'll see. Game number 1 is going to be Warlock for Noriggoon versus the Druid from Pro. And right off the bat, talking about this, Warlocks have access to a ton of board clears. But it's a matter of, do the board clears line up? Because if the Druid gets off to a solid start, they can end the game very quickly. Very likely Wait, Pro's Druid is banned.
You are correct. So this was an accidental mistake here. We may have actually jumped into a test game by accident, so we apologize. We're going to come back onto our screen in just a second. What's up? Taking a look at that Druid and Wide's ban, and it's more important that the aggro Druid kind of gets attention here. Is that deck has been performing so badly, TJ. We've been seeing Druid just drop games all tournament long. You look at the win percentages too; doesn't really even back it up there. The only deck that's really good against is Rogue.
40% win rate for Druid.
Yeah, so it's been pretty abysmal this tournament, and yet why is Nori banning the Druid? Despite the fact that the statistics and the evidence today has shown otherwise.
Well, it's a tough question, because we've seen his decks actually teched against aggro. He's got a lot of Glocka Crawlers in his deck. We've seen some of that low curve in the Reno Warlock deck that he does have. But Druid, I guess, is just super powerful against some of those slower decks. Reno, it can kill you before you can even get to the Reno. Now, Druid, if you're not interacting with their board, they will kill you by turn 5. Okay. And it's the same case with some of his other decks as well. Druid preys on his Rogue, which he knew would be left up. So that's 2 of his decks right off the bat that are going to be very susceptible to the Druid. And I think Paladin being his final deck, if he assumes what the ban's going to be, all of his decks are susceptible to the Druid. So maybe not if you look at across the board of what most people brought to this tournament. Yeah, maybe Druid hasn't been performing. But if you look at just Noriggoon's lineup in a nutshell, it's pretty weak to Druid.
Okay. I do think that the best matchup is still against Rogue, right?
The best matchup is still against Rogue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the second best matchup?
Warrior.
Oh, it doesn't have Warrior. It's still kind of back up because it's Pirate Warrior, right?
It's Rogue Warrior by far is its best matchup, and then everything else is pretty middle ground. Its worst matchups being Paladin, Mage, and Priest, like by a long shot. In this tournament, we're not saying these aren't statistics that are very wide and encompass matches outside of this tournament alone. So, all right, well, Warrior, that's the deck that he meant to queue in Noriggoon on the Warlock. A little bit of a different matchup.
Yeah, pretty different in terms of the kind of damage that comes piling in. It's definitely board-based, but there's a lot of weapon-based damage as well. Noriggoon also has that Mortal Strike, which is something that some Pirate Warriors do end up cutting, but I personally think one of is not bad.
Forgoes the Glocka Crawler on turn 2. He wants that bad boy to eat a little bit of a bigger pirate.
That's some greed right there. Normally you can see people be very greedy if they have Reno Jackson in the hand already, but Noriggoon has no such thing. And he's just going to go for the Galaka Crawler onto the Bloodsail Corsair, excuse me. Now, Gamer can continue to pile it in here. He's got, he's got Heroic Strike. But more importantly, he's got this Sir Finley. And if it lands a very good hero power, that can keep the Pirate Warrior competitive at all stages of the game. Like Life Tap. Life Tap is a huge pickup there.
Yeah, and he uses the Heroic Strike just to protect these minions, because if he leaves these minions alive, it's very likely that they're going to get in more than 4 damage to make up for the fact that he used the 4 damage from the Heroic Strike. And it's also just less flexible, to be honest, the Heroic Strike is. So I definitely like that choice. Ooh. Well,
there's 2 minions that have died so far if this Kazakus goes down, and that one of them is Galaka Crawler, and the other would be Kazakus.
It'd be a 2/3 and a 3/3
versus a 5/5, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Just remember, the Kazakus has to die in order for him to get value off of it.
Yeah. So we'll get an update on that potion in a moment to see exactly what he took.
Yeah, Projeul, in the meantime, a little bit of an awkward hand because he didn't have a very strong weapon, but there it is. He's got the Fiery War Axe, which is very potent. And I like that Projeul is also trading a little bit. People kind of mistaken Pirate Warriors, like you always go as much damage you can to your opponent's face and just let them deal with it, but you usually have to get a lot of board damage in as well.
Yeah, so the Kazakus potion for Noriggoon is deal 4 damage to all minions and resummon 2 minions that have died this game. So that is going to do quite a bit of work in cleaning up the board. The question is Pro just going to be able to finish the game before that's even relevant? He's got 9 damage next turn, it looks like.
Projeul is so greedy, and in fact, because of his greed, he's going to be able to push the momentum the other way and threaten to kill his opponent. Although, how much damage does Projeul have now?
He's got 13 plus Dark Bomb, so if Projeul doesn't clean up some of the board here, he will die. And it looks like he's dead.
Wait, what just happened? That was so fast. Wait, this game's over.
Don't blink, Dan.
Just straight, that's it. Just as fast as we got started, the game has ended.
We're so used to the games, Noriggoon versus...
All right. Well, there you go. Reno Warlock takes game number 1 over Pirate Warrior. And the gamble that Noriggoon put out very early, it paid off.
Oh yeah,
both the gambles.
Oh yeah,
he was greedy with his Galaka Crawler, and he was greedy with his potion. And I think that just goes to show you how important it is as a deck that's trying to fight against aggro to start putting your opponent on a clock and try to turn the tables.
Yeah. So a very nice win for him, and his decks are teched against that. We talked about the low curve Reno. Well, it's not low curve fully as some of the Renos that we saw in the previous set at the beginning of this year, but it's low curve in the fact that it does have a lot of those minions to fight on the early board, like Mistress of Mixtures, Galaka Crawler for the Pirates. So definitely an impressive win.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really important too is being able to get as many chances as he can to get wins with Rogue, which seems because his opponent seems to be bringing an aggressive lineup. So the more wiggle room that he has with it, the better. In fact, some people choose to just play Rogue, like their weakest deck in the very beginning, to try to give him as many wins as possible. But of course, that's always comes down to like the grids and how you make your matchup percentages.
Yeah, but he's got Rogue and Paladin left. Now, Paladin has had, even though we saw Noriggoon struggle with it in the earlier matchups, Paladin has had a lot of success against the field. Second highest win rate if you take out Hunter, which has that tiny sample size.
It's got a sample size of like 8 or 9, and it's won 6 of them, 7 of them.
7 of them. Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You got to count the games from the previous series, but Hunter lost the final game.
It's still ahead.
Still ahead of everything.
It is still ahead of everybody. So
let's assume that we need like 20 to 30 game sample size. Then Paladin's ahead.
Then Paladin's ahead, tied with Priest.
I mean, you got to count the fact that Noriggoon went 0-3 with Paladin this previous series as well. That stings a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Paladin versus the Warrior. Now, part of the reason why people are hyped on this Paladin Wild is primarily because if you have a little bit of anti-aggro tools in it, it actually still holds well against all these pressure decks like Pirate Warrior and Aggro Druid. And it's very similar to Jade Druid in that sense. You might think that, well, it's pretty good against control, but it's actually decently against aggro as well.
Yeah, one thing, though, it doesn't really have a way to block damage or really heal. So I think that's what's holding it back. And if we look at the statistics for this deck, Warrior is actually Paladin's worst matchup across the field. Now, that includes all of the players that played Control Warrior. or Taunt Warrior or anything in between. But considering the large majority of the field did bring Pirate Warrior, you have to assume that it does have a tough matchup because, I mean, if it starts going face, then you're in trouble.
Wow, Projeul got a little bit unlucky there with the outcomes of the ship's cannon, but you know, more importantly, it was the fact that Projeulgamrer didn't have a real weapon, so that he couldn't even get charge damage with his South Sea deckhand. You gotta wonder, you know, sometimes people hold on to that ship's cannon combo. Maybe they even get a little more patient and wait for, like, you know, a 3 or 4 pirate combination.
Yeah.
Projeulgamrer kind of saw an opportunity to get this really nice curve with the South Sea captain or the Bloodsail cultist, and said, "I'm gonna go for it," and got punished. Oh. Speaking of punishment, we're looking for poisonous or +3 attack.
That's a beaut right there. +3 attack.
Wow.
Give me some of that juice.
That is going to be devastating for the Pirate Warrior. In fact, this could just be the beginning of the end, because there's not many catch-up mechanics built into the Pirate Warrior deck without ship's cannon.
And he's already used one of the ship's cannon, and of course, going to be out of cheap pirates. That card gets, you know, much worse. The game goes. He just concedes.
Wow,
holy
straight
moly!
Up. I think Projeulgamrer is a little emotionally impacted by what we just saw. And it's kind of hard not to be. You just saw his opponent. You just saw your ship's cannon go twice to your opponent's face and missing a minions. And then you saw your opponent got the Stegodon with the perfect adapt. I don't blame him, man. I'd be a little tilted myself.
He needed exactly those 2 cards.
He needed precisely those 2 cards to beat me. I played that turn 1-2 perfectly. I mean, yeah, sometimes that happens. And that's kind of the power of the Paladin deck. It had that early game curve. But you kind of wondered, is there an opportunity? Do you think there was an opportunity for Power to play even a little bit slower there and just kind of let Paladin get onto the board?
Yeah.
Because the wider the board they have, they play Muster for battle, and then you play 2 or 3 Pirates with a ship's cannon, you can spray everything and then be able to, you know, just basically go ham and swing back to board.
Just hose him down.
Yeah.
With a cannon.
Yeah.
It's not quite that
it's like
fast.
that poor kid in the Matrix who just found out the elevator got replaced by a brick wall and just has the double machine guns. Tries to blast everyone down. No? You never watched The Matrix, TJ?
I watched The Matrix when I was like 8.
I'll show. When we go to HCT for Shanghai, we're definitely going to watch it before it.
I literally didn't understand anything the first time I watched it. I thought it was a terrible movie.
What?
I was.
Oh, man. Let's go to game before I rip TJ apart here. We have Rogue as
Game's
the
not ready
last
yet, Dan.
class available. We still don't know what kind of Rogue this is. TJ, for the sake of our friendship, please. Just nod your head and say, I agree.
I agree.
All right. So we have Rogue as our final class here for Noriggoon, and we do have Pirate Warrior most likely going to be played here for Projeul, but you got to kind of wonder, is this guy feeling it? You know, he's got to be worried slightly that this Rogue's got 3 chances, and I've seen Quest Rogue be able to put it together. Noriggoon's got the gang up version of Quest Rogue.
If he draws, he has the dream.
He's got the Pirate, Shadow Step, Gang Up Dream. It's on turn 3. He can pull us all off.
Whoa!
He just daggers. You're excited?
I don't even care if he wins.
It's always cool the first time, TJ. I definitely have yet to see this pulled off against me.
I'm bouncing.
He is.
Bouncing with excitement.
Well, Noriggoon doesn't look like he's going to do it this turn. He's going to dagger so he can set up the South Sea deckhand. And then he can gang up the patches, which is really hilarious. Does he have a ship's cannon in his deck?
No.
It has to be no, right? It's just you just straight up just go for gang up patches.
Yeah.
This seems so silly, but it's at the same time it's so strong. All right, let's see what he's able to combo with. Remember we talked about Captain Spirit and how you're able to draw it.
Imagine if he drew patches that turn. That would have been a disaster. But now it's going to be the opposite of a disaster.
Well, if he drew patches, just play patches, gang up the patches, and then do it. But
oh yeah, and then just shadow step the patches. Yeah. But then you don't get the trade. You overall get less patches.
Wow, he's gonna play it greedy. We saw how he played the handlock, and he chose to play the Igneous Elemental.
Oh, now if he can't hit with a dagger because then he doesn't get charged. I guess it doesn't matter if he gets charged with the South Sea deckhand or not.
Right. Well, it does if he wants to remove the minion's board on the board.
I don't think he's gonna live long enough.
Yeah, what just happened here? He's getting completely bulldozed by this 12 damage weapon. He has 2 turns maximum to turn it around.
I mean, maybe not even that. Well, yes, I guess he does, but... All right. Let's see it.
All right.
Come on.
At least show... Oh, you know what? He probably doesn't want to show Projeul his hand. He might just concede here. Because it's withholding information of gang up patches. I actually think that might be a legitimate line that you can take here.
Or maybe he's actually trying to save it to where he's just going to kill him. But ain't nobody got time for that.
I gotta ask. I don't think that works the way it's intended. If you gang up patches and then summon patches, I don't think that's what finishes the quest.
No, but it's just cool.
All right. Can't argue with that. He's thinking about all the possibilities. I think he has a Biofin Tidehunter in his deck, so he still can survive, hypothetically. Even if his opponent
or Glacial Shard
or Glacial Shards
is another option. And once he does complete the quest, gang up plus patches will basically just summons 15 damage from his deck. But now he's on his last leg. There's lethal damage presented just with the weapon, even if he removes his board. So it's now or never.
I don't know if the Oracle can give him anything specifically here. Looks like Noriggoon's going to conceal that gang up. I think he realizes his chance of winning are very slim. He picks up the Biofin Tidehunter, so that's a start.
Glacial Shard as well.
Yes.
That can block some damage.
That might be you might actually prefer that as opposed to the Tidehunter, because you can play these 1-mana minions instead. Load up your board. You just want to freeze your opponent from being able to attack you. And then try to get these flame elementals down. Oh my goodness. Is there a possibility Projeulgamrer has to pick up charge damage or direct damage? There it is. Okay.
That was anticlimactic.
Yeah, and just as fast as, the other games here. It's just been lightning speed here.
But you can see the power of gang up if you're playing against a slower deck where you can complete the quest.
Right. So maybe he's just trying to get this rogue to face off against Paladin and holding off on the gang up synergy, concealing that information so that he can surprise Projeul with this big gang up patches combo.
Yeah, definitely a possibility.
That's cool if it works out that way.
Yeah. It is still a tough combo to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, you need a couple of things to happen correctly. You need your patches to not be drawn, if you do it, you need to have gang up, and then if you have the gang up, you need the scenario where you're able to pull it out and be able to kill your opponent in one turn. So it's kind of like the situation where you kind of want to keep gang up so you can have the right timing, but at the same time, having a gang up means you're not completing the quest of other stuff.
Yeah.
So you kind of need the shadow steps, and you need the bouncers, and you need everything else to fall into place. So it becomes a very problematic combo deck where you need a lot of specific dominoes to line up correctly in order to get the satisfactory one-turn kill.
Or you can just win by other means, other quest rogue means.
That's true. You don't need to win by it, but
yeah. I'm just trying to anti-hype myself.
Really? You don't want to be disappointed. Is that why?
It's really not that cool, Dan. Let's be real.
It's pretty cool.
No,
it's pretty cool. Frankly, I disagree. I think it's actually pretty cool.
I'm trying. Never mind. Just never mind, Dan.
All right. I don't understand what's happening here. If I'm missing an inside joke, but I think it's actually kind of cool to try to do a gang up patches one-turn kill, especially when it looks unreliable as it just did.
I just said I'm trying to anti-hype myself. I'm trying to convince myself that it's not cool in order for when it happens for it to be that much more special.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Gotcha. The Hearthstone subreddit approach. I see.
Indeed.
I'm on to you.
You know where I'm coming from there.
Captain's Parrot.
This is like the deck we showcased.
It makes sense when there's South Sea Deckhand in the deck list. We didn't see that originally, which was is the only pirate patch. You do realize that a pirate does the same thing as Captain's Parrot. It says it puts it on the board. It's like Archaeologist versus Mad Scientist. But with South Sea Deckhand, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Now, what's hilarious is when he plays this Captain Spirit and pulls out patches anyways.
Cold Light Oracle.
Yeah, Cold Light Oracle was in the early build of the Quest Rogue, but has since rotated out, considering that's a little clunky for mana and you want to just have very efficient plays. But that's in Standard, and I wonder if Noriggoon's got some big combos planned.
Well, preparation's going to help eventually, but right now he just needs bounce. He needs to start completing this quest, because he's going to be on a short clock soon once Projeul starts getting to that point where he's picking up the dude buffers.
So again, guys, for people kind of confused why we aren't exactly sure on what's in the deck, is because we didn't reveal the deck list within the casters in respect to the players, and so that's why we weren't sure about the Southsea deckhands, but we have confirmed it. One thing that is interesting with Captain's Parrot, by the way, is after you gang up, you can pull those patches individually. So you kind of give Captain's Parrot like a novice engineer effect, where it's a 2-mana 1/1 draw.
Sure.
So that's like another really fascinating synergy part of the deck.
It's pretty interesting. But of course, there's the built-in failure rate of Captain's Parrot when you're drawing patches, so you're effectively drawing a card that you would have taken out of your deck anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
Well, Igneous Elemental just doesn't really do anything. He just doesn't have a way to complete the quest at the moment.
Well, he's got 2 target dummies, and so if he could pair together a Vanish, he actually could finish the quest in 1 turn. He can play 2 target dummies, Vanish, play them again, just finish it. That's kind of the power of those Wisps and target dummies that's been in deck lists for 0 mana. But maybe that's what Noriggoon's thinking right now. He's just like, I gotta get Vanish or some other way to bounce these back. He picked up 1 in Shadow Step. That's not gonna be that useful. And this is the deck that he needs to beat. This is the slowest deck, right, in Projeul's lineup?
It is. Well, he banned away the aggro druid.
Oh, right. We'll see. But I mean, for the most part, it looks like Noriggoon's still struggling right now. Yeah. All it takes is 1 Vanish, I think, to really piece everything together. Because Paladin's very weak to Vanish.
Yeah, have to play those Silverhand recruits individually.
He's even freezing a Silverhand recruit in anticipation for the Quartermaster.
Yeah.
Or the Stegodon.
I mean, this is even like a tough to find things to play, but he's just going to continue to push damage with Consecration.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting to the point where even without a Silverhand recruit buff, he's getting close to lethal damage. I mean, he's got 4 on board, plus 3, 7, 11 maximum with the True Silver Champion. I guess, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
That's actually a game now. Noriggoon's going to be able to go for a big Vanish play. Interesting that he... Okay, yeah, actually, I'm thinking about the sequencing of what he wants to do.
Projeul, he's like, oh no.
Yeah, he's really far behind on board now, and quality got burned, not really that useful.
And he holds on to the target dummies to essentially guarantee that those are 5/5, so there's no like shenanigans where you can trade in.
Right.
And he can also play the Southsea Deckhand, which is going to pull patches out with the quest because he has 6 mana.
That's right, and he can clear most of this board.
Well, a lot of it.
Oh, wait, there's 6 of them. I thought there was like 4 for some reason because the cards were covering it.
He can basically go to a point where he just continually sets up a board in hopes of, well, maybe you save it.
Well, he's close to even killing him. He's got 20 damage this turn. If he's going to play around things like the Tarim and he saw a quality being burned, so that even might bait him into thinking that the quality is not really in his opponent's hand. But if he wants to be really safe, he needs to clear everything here. But if he just wants to pressure his opponent, he just goes all face and shadow steps a minion.
Ooh, that is really tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we saw 1 quality being burned. The other card you're afraid of is Tarim, which clears everything.
Yeah.
And he's taking the safe route. He's saying, you know what? I'm still presenting a lethal because I have a Shadow Step in the hand.
Oh, he's going to Shadow Step the patches?
Save it for the gang up, I guess.
I
mean, if he needs it. He's got 2 bounces, so he's bouncing 1. And he had the other. Projeulgamrer has a quality. Needs a little more, though. He's got a Neurotron, by the way. That's a card I haven't seen in a hot minute.
Yeah, he got it from the first Stonehill Defend, right? No? Yeah, he played a Stonehill Defender. I think he got it from the first Stonehill
Just
Defender.
saying, it's interesting to see that challenge, some of these 5-1s.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nice. He has to spend a dagger hit and one of these 5-1s in order to get through it.
I think Projeul was thinking about maybe using Choose Over and like going face. His opponent's at 13, but doesn't have the ability to kill. Biolf and Tidehunter, very powerful draw if Noriggoon wants to go defensive.
I mean, at this point, it's not even being defensive. It's also being aggressive.
True.
But you basically just give yourself an extra 5/5. I think he's going to hold on to Youthful Brewmaster, I think, because, just for the possibility of gang up, you know? You always got to just keep those possibilities open.
I mean, pretty much whatever Projeulgamrer does, he needs Tarim now. Finds a Stegodon on the shielded mini-bot. We kind of referenced that synergy early on, but I mean, is that just death?
Gang up one time.
If he's able to get any kind of bouncer, he's going to be close to killing him. Don't be so disappointed, TJ. I think the gang up synergy here would have been just way over the top overkill, but
They would have been pretty lit.
it would have been pretty cool.
But alas, I mean, Noriggoon, that Vanish draw set him up in such a great spot. And he's, he's dotting his I's and crossing his T's, make sure that he does not leave anything up to the draws from Projeul. Cleaning up all of these 1/1s, just pushing a little bit of damage each turn. Well, a lot of damage each turn and setting up. And I think that this is going to spell defeat for Projeul. Noriggoon on the verge of going to the live finals.
He's got Tyrion and something else, but nothing really going. And Projeulgamrer looks like he had a great path to get to this point, but we had a very quick series lasting just under half an hour. And it looks like that's going to be it here. And he's going to go ahead and just try to play some of these cards out and try to see if he can survive. It's going to take a miracle, really, to survive this, I think.
There's the Sunkeeper Tarim. He's going to put as many taunts as possible, but is he still dead? There's 7 minions. Yeah, he goes ahead and concedes, and Noriggoon is going to the live finals. Second player from APAC, and the final player to round off our lineup of 8.
And the Quest Rogue able to get another crucial win here. Of course, none bigger than qualifying for the finals. But remember, these guys had to win with all their decks in order to get to this point. Yeah. So again, hats off to Projeulgamrer and 3104. But the man of the moment belongs to Noriggoon.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see him be able to bounce back, because the way he lost in the upper bracket was pretty crushing. He was up 2-0, then lost 3 in a row with Paladin. Now he's the one beating his opponent's Paladin to get through.
Yeah, it was really tough watching all those Silverhand recruits die. I mean, it felt like his opponent just had board clear after board clear after board clear. But we can take one more look at the run from Noriggoon. To see, who he beat and
that's
where
right.
he's going.
TJ's hot take.
TJ's hot take.
Pacific top 4.
I want to point out something, Dan. We had all of the qualifiers were from the upper bracket today. All 6.
Oh, you mean the person that lost in the upper ended up winning anyways going through?
Yeah, you can take a look now. General and Alb are in the upper bracket.
So
McNuggets in control, and now Masink and Noriggoon. So the players that had that success throughout the rest of the tournament were the ones that eventually made it through. So
interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah,
because just goes to show sort of, I guess, the consistency of their lineups. But it is an impressive lineup nonetheless. All these players have brought something unique to the table, and I think they put on a good show for us here today, and I think that will continue through to the live finals.
That's right. So that's a really cool precedent that's been set, where the players who were winning in the very beginning end up picking it up, and we're excited for the live finals happening in July, the week before the Hearthstone Championship Tour makes a stop in Shanghai.
Yeah, it's literally the week before.
Yeah, we're actually just going to get on the plane right after the finals and go straight to China.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but it'll be a nice way to sort of start off that, or cap off sort of the summer season with some great Hearthstone, because the Wild Tournament, we're seeing the meta evolve before our very eyes. Vicious Syndicate,
they're growing up so fast.
They're growing up so fast.
Yeah.
They have their own data report now.
I know.
Players are starting to show it some love. Even the players who climbed in May to try and qualify are still playing Wild a little bit just because they thought it was fun, or because there's going to be more Wild tournaments because this one seems to be going pretty well.
Yeah. And hopefully more in the future.
Yeah. Have any final thoughts to wrap things up, Dan? Any highlights from the day that you like to share with the class?
I'm pretty happy that, I think you mentioned it before, that a couple of players who dedicate themselves to the Wild format had their hard work pay off. I had the pleasure of playing with Control earlier last month, and it was giving me a lot of tips and coaching and just helping me out, and that's what helped me get to a top 100 finish where, he kind of let me go at the rest of the month, and I was kind of playing. And I couldn't be happier for the guys. So I hope, even though there's a couple of mistakes here back and forth, these are some of the first time these guys are competing on the big stage, and hopefully they can continue to solidify their play up for the July finals.
Mama Bird kicked Frodo out in the nest.
They
and Mama
did.
Bird's
I sprouted my wings.
Yeah.
And I flew.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys in just a few weeks for the live finals. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.